17 stories and ideas to elevate the trajectory of your life. October 1st, 2024. Save the date. Discover 17 powerful stories and transformative ideas that guide you through overcoming tragedy, navigating obstacles, and finding the inspiration to live your best life. Ignite your inner fire and turn it into fuel with the wisdom and experiences from individuals from all walks of life, each dedicated to elevating the trajectory of your journey. Pre-order our new book at bookstrajectoryglobal.com. Trajectory. Reserve your copy now at no cost and receive a free gift.
Welcome to a brand new experience with innovative voices from all over the world. I would like to invite you all to something that is magical, something that is powerful, and something that is from my heart. This is the Devon Taylor Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Devon Taylor Podcast, where we have guests from all around the world tell their unique and powerful stories to not only allow their voice to be heard, but for you to feel inspired. I am thrilled to have another fascinating guest. She is a skilled hypnotherapist and soul coach who specializes in helping individuals connect with their subconscious patterns and transform their life stories. Please welcome to the show, Abigail.
Thank
Hi,
you
Abigail.
so much. Hi, it's so nice to be here. Thank you guys so much for having me.
We appreciate you being here. We also have Giancarlo here as my co-host. Hi, Giancarlo. So first, I just kind of wanted to start off with you kind of just telling your story. Like, where did you start off becoming a hypnotherapist, and how did that happen for you?
That story is so layered. I feel like the journey of our becoming always is, right? The paths that leads us to the iterations of our greatest soul expression always have a lot of winding roads, a lot of, peaks and valleys. For me, I think that journey, I think the journey into hypnotherapy precisely began in around 2020. And it's because I had a session with someone and I saw the power of it and how transformative it was for my personal journey to enter into the states of my subconscious mind and understanding how much of a storehouse the subconscious is. You know what I mean? It was holding all of these layers of information and all of these informational pamphlets about what I thought I believed, right, about myself, whether that was something that I created for myself or something that was gifted to me from birth. And so from that state, an entire unfolding began, because then I got very curious. I have a very curious mind. So I started to study and I started to watch videos and I started to follow accounts on social media. And, I ended up having a really wonderful mentor and he and I worked together for quite some time. And then I started my own personal journey of offering hypnotherapy about almost 2 years ago now. And it's been incredible to watch just how many people's lives have been impacted through the power of owning their unconscious mind.
So powerful. I think what I love the most is that everyone on the show has found some kind of modality that has kind of steered and helped their life in some way. And then on top of that, now, you're helping other people. So that's super powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the journey of what they like to call the wounded healer always brings us back to the service of humanity. You know what I mean? And I don't think that there is a greater form of expression, when we can alchemize everything that we've journeyed through, really observe the painful moments, the breaking moments, all that stuff, and just say, can I create medicine from this? Can I birth something completely brand new? Can I, cultivate a different frequency from what brought me so much transformation? and share it that way with everyone, like whoever's nearby. And it doesn't have to be as grand schemed, the whole world. I can impact the whole world in my neighborhood,
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
I love that.
right here.
You you were telling us behind the scenes before we started the show that is it your mother from Guatemala and your father from Honduras?
Yes. Yes.
Abigail.
Abigail.
You know, do you know what is the meaning of your name?
I do. It's so sweet too. For a long time, when I read the meaning of my name, I was a little confused by it, but I was also like, once I realized what it meant, I was like, this is like a responsibility. I was like,
Mhm.
you gave me this name. Oh my gosh. But it means the father's joy or the birther of joy. You know what I mean? And so
Wow.
for me to like sit with that, especially since so much of my life I sat through, and I mean, we'll journey through this maybe in this conversation, but I journeyed through suicidal thoughts, depression, anxiety, suicidal attempts, so much of that. And so the weight of that name, I'm here to journey as the joy of the Father or birther of joy. I was like, I don't feel very joyful right now,
Mm.
And so, yeah, it was quite interesting too how that name came about.
How
And
did
it's
you
so
learn?
valid to experience also the contrast of that
Mm.
because
Mm,
as we are in this process of remembrance and fully becoming more fully incarnated and embodied, like there are some parts of us that are not fully in with being in this experience. So they're like, fuck this experience. I don't want to be in this shit.
exactly. Yeah. And, that's what I was mentioning before. So many parts of my journey, being separated from my parents from age 4 to 9 really cemented an idea of abandonment, and of loss at such a young age. Then, navigating, never having a consistency in where I live and feeling kind of gypsy like in my
Mm.
experience, and feeling very alone, in this journey. Even though I was surrounded by love, I didn't actually grow up in what some people deem an abusive household. I grew up with two parents that are very loving and church going and the whole thing. But they were just not, they didn't have the capacity to be as present as maybe my tender heart needed at the time, And
Mm.
so it, the interweavings of the way my mind thought of I am alone and nobody's here and nobody can help me, it really showed me the duality, you know what I mean, of humanity, period, this human experience.
Mm. What do you think really like helped you in those moments? Try to, because I can totally see myself when I was struggling, and I mean I was couch surfing in what at one point. I remember sleeping in my car at one point just because I didn't want to sleep in the house that I was staying with, the friend that I was staying with.
Yeah.
But like trying to think back even for myself, but how were you able to find yourself within those moments to like kind of, I guess, pull yourself through and get to where
Hmm.
you're at now?
Yeah, I was married for 15 years to um, he's a beautiful human being, a beautiful human being. But I just think the both of us were navigating such deep shadows, and we didn't really understand like each other's modality of love, our what they call our love languages. We weren't speaking the same language, Oftentimes I think we were like one was speaking French and the other one was speaking Chinese. We just couldn't, we couldn't meet each other in the middle, and we had no awareness of how to get out of those states of avoidance or states of passive aggressiveness or things like that. And so for me, after several bouts of like physical illness, because the body keeps score of all those, like, I'm going to suppress my anger, I'm going to suppress my sadness, I'm going to suppress this
Mm.
frustration. My body was holding so much, my body pretty much went kablamo like in 2016. And I was I was in bed for a while, And so I think those states kind of created a lot of just, I'm by myself and I have a lot of time to think, idle minds, you know? No amount of like online schooling could have helped me in that moment. And so I had a lot of moments. It culminated to, 2019, late 2019, when I was just tired. I was really, really tired. I had, and it was interesting because I had a really successful marketing business with my son's father, and we had this beautiful home, and we had a great group of friends, and we were at all these red carpet events, and just living a life that externally people were like, that, like, I want to achieve that. We had money in the bank, we had all this stuff going on. And I was very unhappy. I was just really, really unhappy. And just one evening, I kind of took it upon myself, writing all these notes and creating cocktails for myself that I thought would just be like, perfect. I'm going to go to sleep. And that's that. And in one of those moments of divine intervention, this beautiful friend of mine called me and was like, hey, you're in my heart. Like, what's up? How are you? I'm like, I'm great. Everything's fine. And I was like, at my absolute worst. And he tried to FaceTime me. I kept canceling. I was like, no, you can't see me right now. And so he was like, if you don't answer your phone, I'm driving to your house, And so he saw my face and he was like, I'm coming over, And it's interesting how the universe just kind of says, it's not time yet, not quite. Like there's still some stuff that you're going to miss out on, if we follow through with this.
Yeah.
And that kind of created this momentum after a series of events that led me into states of spiritual awakening, and the delayering of that, and the process of that. And then COVID hit, and it was like the perfect opportunity, dive in deep and just, everything changed after that. It was a literal, like, flip everything upside down kind of moment. In the best of ways. Yeah.
That's a reoccurring theme. I want to say almost every single person that I've interviewed says during COVID, that's when just everything flipped for them. And
Oh yeah.
it was definitely a life-changing moment.
Yeah. You got to think, when so many things get removed forcefully, like out of your life, and you're kind of just like placed in this opportunity of just, okay, it's just you now. Take time to be with you. How are you going to respond to this moment, or react? And, my response to it, I remember, like, I have a 12-year-old son. And at the time, he was so young, but he had to do online and all this stuff. And I remember while he was in school, like, I would just be meditating. And I'd be journaling, and I'd be in nature, and it was unheard of for me to be that way. And I found my rebirth, in those moments of solitude,
Beautiful. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
He helped you reconnect with Mother Earth.
So much of that. The mother lineage came through so thick too, during that season, because it was like, I've never felt held before, and I didn't know what that even felt like. I was always the one that people came to. I was never the one that was held. And so, I don't know if you remember, like in COVID, there were so many containers available. Like everybody was, for some reason, was hosting a Zoom or an IG Live, or because we couldn't see each other in person. And so I was joining everything. I was like, yes. And so I felt like, oh God, I get to be held right now. I get to rest. I get to be nourished. I didn't even understand the notion of that.
It's like by removing what we were all taking for granted, that connection and that belonging, we learn to appreciate it even more.
100%.
At least some of us, because there's some hard-headeds out there that are still doing the same shit.
They're on their own journey and path,
Yep.
Yeah, that's something that I love to talk about, is it's not so much about us being on a higher timeline, lower timeline, anything like that. We're just on different paths, they're kind of leading us to our own personalized experience of this life, and at that point, when I see it that way, I'm just like, I can't even judge you. I can just witness you, and remove myself if I need to. But
Yes, exactly. And for some reason, I've noticed that some people's jobs is to
Mm.
stay exactly where they are and be like
Yes,
those mirrors to help us, like the
you got it.
catalysts to help us remember and to help us wake up and to help us make the
Mm.
changes that we need to make.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that's pretty uncomfortable to sit with, right? Like, why would a soul choose this reality to be in states of personal sabotage all the time? Or to be in and choosing suffering. Maybe the soul in this reality just definitely chose, like, I need to experience what suffering is like. And we judge it because we're just like, oh, you can't seem to change. And it's like, what if the soul chose that? Like, what if that's
Mhm.
just a divine assignment in that way? So it triggers these states out of you, and it's so funny, how that works out. You really get to see the cosmic play of it all when you witness it through that perspective.
Hmm. What do you think was the biggest change for you since COVID? Like, what? I mean, obviously, you said you were in nature. That was something that was new for you. And just connecting more. But what was like the biggest change for you, you feel?
Oh man, that's tough. You want to know the greatest change that happened to me since 2020, 2019, was when I understood what mindset and intention meant. And that
Mm.
shifted everything because I no longer like resonated victimhood with my life. Like I wasn't a victim of anything. And for so long, I journeyed through the narrative of I am the victim. It's happening to me. Woe is me, and I can't believe it's happening again. And I journeyed through that for so long. And when I was able to sort of grab hold of that and just be like, oof, wait, no, I'm experiencing this. And to certain degrees, I'm creating this. I've learned what I needed to learn from this, and now I get to move on. It changed everything because now I had this autonomy over my experience. I had
Mm.
this creative power in a sense, you know what I mean? Where I got to collaborate with the divine. It wasn't so much of the divine punishing me, you know what I mean? And this separateness of, the source divine God is so high up and is just thunderbolting me through life. It was this sensation of just like, you're right here. You're not even outside of me. You are
Mm.
me. The cells in me speak, with you and to
Right
you.
here.
Are you ready to transform your life with the power of living water? Hi, I'm Devon Taylor, and I want to share an incredible discovery that's changed my life and my family's life: living water. Imagine waking up every morning feeling refreshed, energized, and ready to conquer the day. With living water, it's not just a dream, it's our new reality. We've been sleeping better, eating healthier, and have more energy than ever before. But that's not all. Our secret to this newfound vitality is available to you too. Visit our website at thelivingwatercouple.com and discover how living water can revolutionize your health and wellness. And there's more. Tune into our podcast, available on all streaming platforms and YouTube, where we dive deep into the science and benefits of living water. Hear from experts, satisfied customers, and learn how you can make this life-changing decision for yourself. But don't wait too long. Prices for our water machines and supply are going up in July 2024. Now is the perfect time to invest in your health and well-being. So, head over. Remember, living better starts with living water. Living water, drink, thrive, and live your best life. Visit thelivingwatercouple.com today. Alrighty, so do you think that you could just take us a little bit into your soul coaching and that process? How did you get into that? What led you into that? And just how does that process kind of work? This is my first time actually hearing this, so I'd love to
Yeah.
hear more.
Yeah. I think that we went through a wave of like life coaches and people that are here assisting you, as far as like the different goals that you have in your life, the different challenges that you might be facing in life. Soul coaching kind of takes a more integrative space, with the individual, where we aren't just looking at the physicality and the consciousness, as far as like what we are creating for ourselves here, but we're taking divine, channeling and intuition, and also kind of diving into the spaces where we're not witnessing just a one-dimensional person. We're witnessing all of the spaces, of them. And from that, creating intentions to be able to journey with together. We break through limited mindsets, core pattern wounding, subconscious loop patterning, all sorts of stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you for explaining that. I mean, I guess, yeah, that does make sense. It's more like on just like a deeper level of like coaching. And how did you get into it? What led you into soul coaching?
Yeah, before this call, we were kind of mentioning it. I think that what's typically seen as the path of the wounded healer is one that you navigate through so much in your life, and you sort of, when you reach a particular kind of point, after you've done all this work within yourself, right? Because you got to fill your cup first. You really got to access these spaces of self to understand what even led you here. And through those spaces, you get to a point where you enter in through I find to be one of the greatest acts of service, which is a service to humanity, and you find yourself in that state of like, I want to provide this back out, you know what I mean? I want to share this with everyone. And I remember in the beginning of my journey, just being so zealous about it and so like, oh my gosh, I gotta, everybody needs to know. So anybody that would listen, it could be like my neighbor, who got tired of me talking about it. It could be my son. It could have been my parents, everybody. I was just like telling them, oh my gosh, the greatest thing to do Reiki and to meditate and to be in nature. And they were like, are you okay? What's going on? So what led me to it was just being around it, being around so many beautiful people that were already offering it within themselves, sort of, offering the pattern, the skeleton of it all, and then making it my own. Because I work a lot, with the energetic healing aspects too, where, I provide Reiki, but it's also frequential healing, that I use with tonality of voice. Like I said, using so much discernment and intuition, some of these messages that come through for the clients that I work with.
Cool.
What was your experience of these, what so many people call Lion's Gate? What were you processing personally, and also if you're already in that space that you integrated what was coming through for you, what do you feel that you're also ready to share with others? Both. So what was
Yeah.
happening with you and what's coming through for others?
Oh man, I'm not big on these portal days per se, because I have come to the conclusion that I am the portal, and I access these moments, portal like moments, at any point that I want to and I desire, right? But I'm not poo-pooing on the whole thing, because I find, and even biblically we can find this, in scripture, when two or more are gathered, I am there, right? And that is the divine speaking, and just being like the divinity in us saying, I am in a collective intuitiveness with you, so imagine we have tens of thousands of people like really united in intention. This is a portal day. Okay, cool. So a lot of what was coming through for me during that day, and I was holding space the whole day. It was like from 10 in the morning all the way to almost 10 o'clock at night. A big part that was coming through for me is just almost like a reconfiguration of how best to serve in this season of my life, especially given what I was explaining to you guys, this very hermiting kind of space that I had just finished. And so now coming in the rebirth, and the butterfly wings are fresh, and we're in this space of like, I'm ready to take flight, and be very unapologetic, but still grounded in my intention. So much of what was coming through is just, how do I want to offer from this medicine, from this space? You know, what do those acts of service look like? The offerings, you know, look like that still honor me from who I am now, you know, and a lot of reflection on relationships for me personally, you know, the relationships of my life and what I'm willing and no longer willing to put up with. Worthiness was a big word, you know, that was coming through.
Mhm. That was for me too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That was the theme, self-worth.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, during the gathering that I hosted that evening, I led the women in that group through an exercise of cultivating worthiness at every single energetic point in our energetic field, in our auric field. And so I took them to a space where we were in our root chakra, and I was like, sit with worthiness here. Do you feel worthy of the steps that you are taking and the journey that you are currently on and the paths that you're being invited into? And how does that sit? How does that land? And then navigating it up to the womb, you know, and the sacral point. How worthy do you feel of cultivating and creating and putting these offerings, you know, to run through you, you know, and all this stuff. We kept traveling up and up and up, and you know what worthiness is stored in your heart and in your throat, third eye. And man, the amount of breakthroughs that came through, because we don't often grant ourselves permission to feel into our worthiness from that perspective. Worthiness feels like an external event. I have to be invited into worthiness so that I can finally flow in a worthy space. If I'm being invited into an event or to be a speaker or to be in a podcast, I'm worthy now. But
Mm-hmm.
worthiness is cultivated within. We are worthy because we exist. Period.
That's so powerful. And as you were sharing that, I had a vision and saw how worthiness is a template of itself.
Yeah.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you know, we're raised to believe that our worthiness has a limit, that it
Mm.
has a ceiling too, you know? And so oftentimes we'll sit with these ideas. You can imagine when you were a kid, you know, if they asked you, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they would laugh because they thought it was really funny. Oh, I'm going to be a pilot and a teacher and a basketball player. Oh, okay. I mean, as adults, we can see why that's a very outlandish desire, you know? But why do we laugh at these desires now as adults? You know, well, because it began when we were kids. We were told that there was a ceiling, there was a limit, you know, and it's like, no, you're worthy to dream. You can put all of that out there. Be really brave about that. Be really big about that expression, you know?
I love that so
Mm.
much.
How can we be feel more worthy? I mean, I love that you're speaking to it because I feel like that's the whole purpose of why we're doing these interviews. But what is your perspective?
Yeah. How do you cultivate worthiness within you? That's the question, yeah?
Yeah.
Man, you know, one of the first exercises I started doing when I began this journey of self-worth and self-love and self-honor. I find these three pillars to be so important as we're going to navigate, because these are foundational, right? They're foundation, and then you have your pillars of physical, mental, emotional, and mind, right? So we have all of these four pillars kind of working together, right? And so when we create the foundation of that, we have to bring it back to self. So I started thinking in ways of like, I am worthy of resting. And I would enjoy just being in my bed or being on the couch or being in nature or being in states that created rest within me, because I grew up in an environment with a mother, especially a mother, who was like, it's 7 a.m, you're still in bed, you're lazy. And so I had to go.
Mm.
And then I married someone who had a very similar, you know, mindset. It's like after a certain point, you're just being lazy. And it's like, no, my body needs rest and I am granting it rest. And guess what? I am worthy of rest. Now we shift the perspective and the narrative. Another thing, you know what I mean? I am worthy, you know, of receiving. So instead of stopping my friends from blessing me, because when you go out to dinner and everybody's throwing their card down and it's quick, and then you're fighting with your friend and no, me, and it's cute. But there's a deep wound there. If my friend started inviting me to something and she or he was very intentional about inviting me, I allowed them to, because I'm worthy of receiving that kind of love and that kind of gesture from my friend. And I would be actually denying them from their blessing, because I do that too, right? It's cultivating these habits within you where you are no longer denying yourself things that you are inherently worthy of, and not putting a capacity on that either. I'm worthy of living a peaceful life. I don't have to self-sabotage my peace at every single point, because I am going to predict that chaos is coming,
Wow, that one is powerful.
Yeah. A lot of us do that because we want to be in the seat of control. And why is that? Because we were raised, in our formative years with an idea that you have to be prepared that something's going to go wrong. So there's this metaphorical bear constantly chasing us, right? So when we sit in states that feel peaceful or boring or, nothing's happening, let me create something because I got to be ready. And so we get to be in peace because we're worthy of having peace in our lives. And we get to journey through what peace looks like for us, what love feels like for us. It's so loving to take care of myself. It's so loving for me to breathe right now. It's so loving to have beautiful conversation with incredible people,
And that comes up a lot in relationships, that there's these parts in all of us that is honestly fucking terrified of intimacy and safety and connection. And then we find ourselves enjoying these beautiful intimate moments with our partner or with our support systems or our inner circle, and suddenly there's this part that comes up and starts creating chaos out of nowhere.
That's right.
Because that part doesn't know and believes and holds the belief that it's unsafe to not only enjoy that peace, also that intimacy and that belonging and that connection. And to be completely honest, that's something that I struggle and that Devon and I struggle in our relationship. So I deeply appreciate that we're sharing about this. And I'm pretty sure that there's people that are watching this, and I would love to know in the comments how that shows up for you and your with your partner or with your children or with people at your business or your work, because this is something that we need to talk more about.
I
We need
agree.
to stop hiding these things, and we need to share the light of consciousness in it and be like, hey, I experience this too. You're not alone. You're not the one. No, like we're in this together, and this is part of the human experience, and we're all
100%.
growing. Hmm.
100%. And when we're navigating through these triggers and we're on this path of creating deeper awareness of what these triggers are, why they were even here in the first place, how our body, our mind, our emotional state responds to these triggers. I think one of the greatest things that I started creating for myself was my 24-hour rule. And so when something triggering happened to me in my life, whether it be with my son's father or, my son or my friends or anything, I grant myself 24 hours to sit with it instead of just going into what I used to do, which was, the whole reaction. And I'm like, how dare you? You're attacking me and you're, blah, blah, blah. And that's our 4-year-old wanting to come out and say something. That's our 10-year-old wanting to come out and say something when they couldn't, right? Because oftentimes, I grew up in this environment where if I even tried to say something, my dad was like, you said what?
Hmm.
And it's so harmful because then all that rage was stored right here in my chest. It was like this fire, so then when I got married, it was this thing of just when he was triggering parts, that my parents may have created, in that state. So now, all these years later, I sit 24 hours, and if in 24 hours it's still bothering me, and during that time, I'm sitting with what actually happened, what bothered me, and feeling all the emotions, letting it all run through me. If I'm sad, cry, let it all out, just woo, let it out. If I'm angry, scream. I'll get in my car and I'm just anything that needs to happen. I'll go through the whole everything. And so after doing all of that, after doing the tools I know and I have access to within myself, if it's still bothering me, then now I'm coming in a state of response. Hey, this thing that you said yesterday, I just kind of want to talk to you about it because I value our connection. I respect who you are. And I just wanted to let you know it bothered me. And this is how it made me feel. It isn't so much of the you, it becomes I can own where I'm at. And now we're having a conversation,
Yep. And I think that's a huge step that a lot of couples don't take, and that's that's where a lot of the issues happen. Like Giancarlo said, even between us, where we don't have a 24-hour rule. A lot of that stuff's coming right out at that time. So I think that's a great practice to implement, and just give each other space and give each other time and understanding. I feel like that's what it really comes in. You were even saying something earlier before we started recording about just like kind of like understanding where people are at, not necessarily having to absorb that energy or be a part of it if you don't want to, but just kind of like, respecting the world as it is. And how do you feel like you've been able to keep that mindset? I mean, especially with people that trigger you or people that push boundaries, how are you able to keep that mindset and that frame of mind? Because I feel like it's really hard for me, for Giancarlo, for anyone really, we're all humans, but
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Icarus here.
And Amelia.
And I'm here to tell you if you'd like to join our brand new adventure. Go to DevonTaylorAuthor.com to learn more.
And check out the cool items like the new bucket hat.
Yeah, and so much more. See you guys there.
Well, number one, I don't deny my humanity. I make mistakes constantly. You know what I mean? I disappoint people. I hurt people. I hurt myself, you know what I mean? Through the actions and choices of my life sometimes. But I've minimized the window of that by a lot, I feel, simply because I had certain individuals reflect back in the last 4 years, especially, the idea and concept that nothing belongs to me. Nothing belongs to me. And that expecting something out of someone is actually me not being in the flow of love. And let me explain what I mean by that. So let's say that all three of us are in a beautiful friendship, together, which I think we will be after this. But we're sharing in friendship. But in my idea of friendship, without expressing, verbalizing to you, I create a notion. I expect them to show up this particular way. And all of us do this because we create versions of people in our mind based off of what they present to us. We take that information and we formulate an idea of who they are, but that's not actually who they are. You can't possibly know the fullness of this individual ever. So in knowing that and understanding that, I release you from the expectation because I love you. I receive you exactly as you are in the moment that we're in right now. And if something doesn't resonate, we are grown enough to talk about it. And talk about it in a state of intentionality, where then it's the heart speaking and it isn't the ego seeking. It is coming from a state of just, I love, simply. I don't love you because, I don't love you in spite of, no. I just love right now. And that's a very, very tough task because so many of us were conditioned to fight for our love. You know what I mean? And they're not showing up the way they need to right now. And it's like, I get it. I genuinely do. You know what I mean? And then when I was married, those 15 years, we encountered so much, especially for me. You know what I mean? But both of us just really, And so during that time, it was so interesting. But the way that even both of us approach our co-parenting now, and the way that we see each other as just people, so many layers of forgiveness had to be entered in through that state first. Forgiveness of self, forgiveness of the other, forgiveness of the situation. And now in the relationships that I partake in, friendships, romance, whatever, I can understand this person's going through their own journey, and it's not up to me to force them into anything. If our journeys are intersecting right now, then let us enjoy this intersection right now. But if they should drift, then they do. Maybe they'll come back. I try my best. I should say that, because sometimes, humanity is humanity. But I do my best just to witness people in this present moment. That's all I know. I can't create beyond that.
How do you support the part of you that may want to control someone or a situation or an outcome or an expectation or an assumption? Like, because I know we all have those parts. You
Yeah.
have it too. So what's your practice to
Yeah.
working with that?
It's a couple of steps. So if my partner is doing something that is creating a state, or if I'm trying to control, let's say, a situation in partnership, right, where I am just like, I really want them to show up like this right now, and man, I really want to just grab this situation and put it right here. I catch myself. I do my best to sort of see when that's happening and just be like, whoa, wait a minute. What are we doing? And I think that that's the part of inner authority and self-autonomy that is practiced, that is learned, you know what I mean? And you have to take that step by step. When you're able to see a loop, and it's almost like a revolving door, right, that you're entering in through, and it's like, oh, there's that pattern. There I go. And I'm doing it again. If you're able to even just catch it, the awareness of that alone is powerful. Is powerful, because another version of you wouldn't have even seen that, right? So you're catching yourself before you even enter it, or as you're in it, and you're bringing yourself back. You're creating a state where that energy is no longer being extended out from you. You know what I mean? And that's why people feel so depleted and after. You bring that energy back to yourself, right? And for me, I allow myself to flow through whatever emotion is coming up. And I go via whatever is being asked of me in that moment. Sometimes it's me sitting in front of a mirror and just crying with myself, holding myself through that space. Sometimes it's calling a friend and being like, hey, you know what? I'm going through this, and this is, talk to me. Am I acting crazy? You know what I mean? Sometimes it's journaling. Just me sitting with pen and paper and just being like, I got to get all this stuff out and really see it from an objective state. But again, that's practice. That's like when you go to the gym. We have to start off somewhere, little by little, but it's the intention. I don't want to repeat this anymore,
So it sounds like it's being very intentional with being very intentional and also attuned to meeting your needs consciously.
100%. And working and aligning myself with people that are on that same path. I can't try to even begin. Let's say and I used to be, but let's say, I was, I don't know, an alcoholic. I can't say I'm recovering my alcoholism in a bar and with people that are just constantly getting drunk. Eventually I'm going to be tempted and I'm going to have a bad day and I'm going to join again. You know what I mean?
This is Nimram speaking to you, and I command you to go to DevonTaylorAuthor.com right now. You must check the specials. Listen to me. You must check the specials now.
We are back, and we are going to finish with Abigail here. So, Abigail, I just have really one question as you've been talking throughout this entire interview. What is the message that you feel you'd like the audience to kind of pull away from your story, from where you're at now, from even the little gems that you have dropped, what would you want people to walk away with?
I think the overarching message that I would want people to walk away with from this episode is you are more powerful than you think. You know, and I mean that in every sense of the word. No matter what you are experiencing or what you've experienced, whatever challenges have brought you to this point right now, there's such sweet medicine that is birthing within you. These giftings, you know what I mean, that are birthing within you. And that creates a form of superpower that is curated specifically to you. Nobody else has access to this. And so, as you sit with that, as you cultivate that within yourself, witness the radiance of that and how it gets to, it doesn't have to, but how it gets to impact the environments that you place yourself in and that you're invited into. That's a powerful act. That's a powerful moment when you get to understand that, when you come into the awareness of that. You are not here as a victim. The universe, I promise you, is not trying to punch you into submission. You know, it's allowing you a state to experience something that is going to bring you into the next, so that you understand your power, so that you understand your worthiness, so that you're able to genuinely birth love from within you that is coming from a state of such sweet tenderness and compassion in a way that no one else can offer you, you know?
Beautifully said. I love that.
So powerful. Do you have any courses, any events, any programs, or anything that you'd like to invite the
Yes.
tribe to join you?
Yes. So, first of all, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, YouTube via Energy Light Healing, and you can come join, be a part of that community. But I have a 6-week container called Awakening the Language of Yin, and it starts on Tuesday, September 10th, and we are gathering virtually for these next 6 weeks, and we are breaking through the limitations that we create within ourselves towards our financial security, so material access, through different components of relationship and how we journey in relationship with ourselves and therefore with others. We'll be navigating through the understanding of our yin essence, which is the feminine essence, and our yang, which is more deeply connected to the masculine, and how these two energies are within each and every single one of us, and they actually dance together and co-create together, collaborate together in our favor.
111 of your sharing that.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this container. I think that it's something that is going to be quite transformative, and again, it's coming from all the things that I've learned, but also things that have just been intuitively accessed to, you know.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Well, hopefully we can have the tribe join you, just like JC said, for your container.
I would love that.
But yeah, that would be great. But is there any last words, any encouraging messages you want to leave for everyone?
Yeah. So, first of all, thank you guys so much for this space. Thank you for everything that you do, for the beauty that you're putting out into this existence, and the way that you're showing up for yourself and for others. May it be a place where so many come almost like a fountain to be quenched, you know, for their thirst to be quenched, you know, because I feel like there's so much of that is lacking in these days. And we're living in a very, very dry time. You know, people are looking for these living waters and the people that they're connecting with. And so may you continue being that living water within yourself. And I encourage everyone that's listening to this program to find that effervescence within themselves and to genuinely witness this life through this perspective of ecstasy. We are living in a moment in time when you're being invited deeper into that state. Be in an ecstatic state for your life. Make love to your life, you know, where you witness drinking water as an act of devotion towards your body, when you witness rest as a form of love for your body and for yourself, when you witness your purpose and passion as something that isn't shameful, but as something that is carried specifically to you.
So
I love
powerful.
that. Thank you for that. That made me feel really, really good. You are such a beautiful soul, and I am
Oh,
so glad we have been able to connect with you. Um, your story just coming to us right now, I feel like it's just coming at such a perfect time for me and Giancarlo specifically in our relationship. So thank you for just dropping the nuggets that you did today, because it gave me a little bit more perspective on how I can see a little bit more into my side and how I can be a little bit more open, to just help our relationship grow a little bit more. So thank you. I truly appreciate this. You have no idea.
the honor and privilege is mine, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'm so happy that we found each other again, right?
Yes, we did.
And that was so synchronistic when you were saying living water, because we have a water business and it's called Living Water.
You're
It's
kidding.
called
I had no idea.
we're,
We
our
literally
water
both looked at
business
each
is
other like,
called our water business is called the Living Water Couple.
Stop. That is crazy. I've never expressed that sentiment at any point. That's not something I typically say, but I felt it
You
in my
were
heart, and I
channeling
was
it.
just like, man,
Mhm.
I was like, that was poetic. I'll sit with these messages that sometimes channel through, and people be like, oh my God, can you repeat that? I'm like, I literally cannot.
I'm so
Mhm.
glad we got that, because literally we both were like, what? Oh my
I had
God.
no clue, I promise you.
So,
Oh man, that's
wow.
beautiful.
We even have the website, thelivingwatercouple.com.
Hmm.
I love it.
Wow.
I'm gonna go check it out now.
Please, everyone, go check it out.
Yes,
But
we
yeah.
need more of that, honestly. Outside of just the
Mhm.
actual living waters that you guys are, I want to drink that.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I mean, just touching a little bit on what you were saying, just about like the waters you're drinking, like just like, not praising it, but I can't remember the word you said, but just like the nourishment you're putting in your body, there should almost be like a celebration for it. And so like
Yeah,
when we are drinking this water, this is like our celebration of,
yeah.
the water we're drinking, the food we're eating. We got stopped at the store the other day when we were shopping for the kids in the household,
Mhm.
and the lady was ringing our food, and she was like, oh my God, you guys eat so healthy. And I mean, it was just picking the options that are going to nourish our body. I mean, like, yeah, why would we just come here and buy a bunch of trash that's not going to help us in the long run? So it's just, yeah, it's thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that. I saw this just to finalize it, I guess, but I saw this one study that was talking about and the perspective, of speaking life into your water, before you drink it because it has memory and it
Mm,
holds memory and it creates vibration, within itself. And so this person was just like, yeah, but think about it. Your body is composed, mostly of water. So you yourself are the vessel of that water. And so what are you speaking into yourself?
mm,
Outside of the glass that you're drinking, what about the vessel of you? You are the glass. You are that vessel. So what are you speaking and cultivating within yourself? Because there's no judgment in energy or frequency. I seem to think that spiritual communities really feel that there is. It's a higher vibration, it's a lower vibration. No, energy doesn't see it that way. Energy sees it as its vibration. We create the judgment of that. Our ego loves to create it, but so when our bodies receive our shame or receive our guilt or receive our anger or receive our whatever emotion we're bringing in here, it doesn't judge it. It just says, okay, this is what we're feeding ourselves, I guess.
mm,
There's no judgment here. I will cultivate this for you because that's my inner function. So if I can be more intentional about what I'm putting in here, love for myself and for everyone, love as a whole, um, peace, joy, celebration, whatever that looks like, it will be shown. That's the testament of its own. People can feel that off of you. You can't fake that.
mm. Thank you. Well, I know we're going to leave it in the show notes, but just so that before we leave, where can everyone find you? If you want to leave all your social medias, you can do that now.
Yes. So pretty much every single social media outlet, energy, light, healing, And so come find me. Let's journey together, and let's have some fun.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for being here. We enjoyed your story. I know it's going to inspire and impact someone out there. And if you guys want to follow, once again, her social medias will be in the show notes for you guys. So thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Today's episode comes to you thanks to our sponsor, Kangen Water. Electrolyte-reduced water is the power of true hydration, manifested in the most advanced Japanese technology that has been in the market for more than 50 years. To drink the best water, shower with a hot spring quality water, and start a new business with the most amazing and profitable compensation plan in the world, visit thelivingwatercouple.com to learn more or get started today.